Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. Today is going to be a fun one because I am going to do this based on the event that we just did, right?
Yes.
So I was just over in Texas and we were at an event. It was a residential and commercial cleaning event and it was awesome. The event was amazing. This guru always does a phenomenal job. Love her. She is awesome. She puts on some of the best events that I've been to. So really appreciate her and the events that she puts on. It was interesting what I experienced there though. So today's podcast is called Why Say No? Why say no? What do you mean by that, Trevor? What do you mean by why say no? Well, what I'm talking about is with these residential and commercial cleaners, one thing that came up was a new cleaning company that actually happens to be in my area, which I'm super excited about because I'm going to hire them. Everybody was talking about them. And here's why. There were cleaners that have been there that have been cleaning houses for 20 years. And 10 years, 5 years, everything in between, right? And then there's this company right here called Zebra Cleaning. And they've been in business for 16 months.
Wow.
In 16 months, they have generated $1.3 million in revenue. $1.3 million in revenue.
That's
so they
awesome.
really stirred the pot there a little bit at the event because there's been some of these cleaners that have been doing this for 20 years and never hit $1 million. There's people been doing it for 5, 6. And it was funny to hear these people come up and be like, oh my gosh, like, I just don't get it. This just is ridiculous. Like 16 months and they're crushing it. And I was like, oh, well, I mean, have you looked at what they're doing? And they're like, yeah, I mean, I have. I've analyzed it. I said, well, that's great. If you know what they're doing, then you should do it. I'm like, well, what are they doing? And they're like, well, I mean, they're out knocking doors. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just talked about this in the end of our last podcast. So if you didn't listen to our last podcast, go back and listen to our last podcast because I just literally talked about this exact same thing. What I would do if I was building a business and started from scratch, right? Yeah. And we talked about that a lot of times people, especially residential or commercial cleaners, they'll just stick a business card in the door. And it's crap because you open the door up and the business card falls on the ground and I just shut the door and I walk away from it. I let the wind take care of that.
Right.
And so how my process of building a business would have been, I would do, if I did a business card, I wouldn't, but if I did, I'd have a special offer on it and I'd put it in the door and it would probably fall and it would probably just, get thrown away or get blown away or whatever. But then I would follow up 3 days later for sure with a door hanger. And that's probably where I would start, would be a door hanger or something in the mail. But really I like the door hanger. And the door hanger would have a special offer on it. Then 3 to 4 days after that, I would have a rep knock on the doors, boots on the ground. Yeah. And I would have them say, hey, so you've probably gotten our business card and then you've got our flyer, or hey, you got our, you probably saw something about us in the mail, the flyer in the mail, and then you probably got our door hanger. And then I just wanted to come introduce myself. We're new to the area and we want to build our business and we would really love to, show you how we can clean your house better than anybody else. Something along those lines, right?
Exactly.
And then I think it would sell a lot of people. Well, the funny thing was, that's exactly what this company is doing. I think they listened to my last podcast, our last podcast. And they started doing it because they were like, people were like, well, they've got door knockers. They've got door knockers. I mean, And I was like, what do you mean, door knockers? Like, if that's growing their business and you've been in business for 20 years and you haven't hit the numbers they've hit in 16 months, why aren't you setting, well, who wants to work that hard? Who wants to work that hard? What are you talking about? That's not an answer.
Only people that want to build a, over $1 million business in 16 months. That's who wants to work that hard.
I know. I'm like, it was like, they were all just kind of like, well, yeah, I've been watching them on social media and so here's all these other cleaners that are like stalking this business and like, some are jealous, some are like, hey, good for them, but the, consensus was, yeah, they're growing their business from knocking doors. And I thought, why? And I didn't just say it or think it, I said it to him. I'm like, even all of you that are having great success, so even if you do over $1 million, I was talking to one company, even if you're already doing over $1 million, why don't you add another $1 million to your bottom line if you know knocking doors has built them over $1 million business in 16 months?
Yeah.
And they were like, well, I mean, it's a lot of work. It's a work. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is what's so crazy. This is why we've been successful in business, because we're willing to dive in the trenches and do the work that other businesses and other people aren't willing to do.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
This is why we've been successful in every single business we have started. We have not had a business fail yet.
Nope.
So what today is all about is why say no, right? Troy, let's jump into it.
Yeah. So basically, it's why would you say no to something that you know is going to work? Right?
Right.
So what you want to do today is we want you to start thinking about your competitors and what are your competitors doing to grow their business that is working?
Yeah. Or what do you know you should be doing? Maybe your competitors don't even know about it. Maybe you know something you should be doing, but you just don't want to put the work in, right?
Right. Exactly. It could be that. Maybe it's a secret and it's going to make you a ton of money, but you just don't want to do it yet. You know, why? Why are you not doing that? So let me give you some examples that I've seen. That we've seen this in several different businesses. One of the big ones is online marketing.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm a referral business. You know, I just get referrals from my customers, so I don't do any online marketing.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, great. That's great.
What happens when it dries up?
Yeah, what happens when it dries up? You know, I had one client I was talking to, this is years ago, and it was a carpet cleaner, and they had a carpet cleaning business, and that's what they said. They're like, oh, we're a referral business. All our business comes from our clients. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Cool. And they're like, and most of our clients are, elderly.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I
oh, okay,
this.
Awesome. And I'm like, well, you sure don't want to do any online marketing? They're like, no, we're good. Then they called back like a couple years later and they're like, so, a lot of my clients have died. And so I'm not getting the referrals anymore that I used to get. So now I need to really start looking at something else.
And the funny thing is when you had that conversation with them, I remember you and I having the conversation of like, wait a minute, people die.
Yeah.
Clients die off, especially if you're saying my clients are all elderly. They have an expiration date.
Right.
So the referrals are going to expire at some point.
Yes.
And it did.
Yeah, and it did. And it put them in a really bad position and they were struggling, right?
So they were behind the curve at that point. Now they're coming to us going, I need help, in a panic, right?
Yep, exactly. When they could have just been building it over time. So online marketing is one of the ones. Another one is like getting reviews. I can't tell you how many times I've heard this where people are like, oh, my competitors have hundreds of reviews and I have 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what do you do to get reviews? I do nothing.
I do nothing.
What? You do nothing?
I mention it. I say, hey, will you go to Google and review us?
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, I'd love to. And then okay, how do you follow up with them? I don't.
Yeah. And that's one of the big things. We all know, we don't need to go over it again, but we all know that reviews is one of the ways that people make their buying decisions.
Yeah.
More than anything.
I think we do
nowadays.
need to go over it again. It's like, how many times? 7 times. You have to go over it at least 7 times for everybody to remember it, right?
Yeah. But it's a huge part of the buying decision. So if you're not getting reviews, then you're going to fall behind your competitors.
Yep.
Another one, like you just said, is knocking doors. Like this is a lost art.
Oh.
It's funny because that used to be one of the great ways to get business.
Heck yeah.
We did it back in the days in like the late 90s and early 2000s, knocking doors at businesses, getting their website business, building websites for them, stuff like that. And it worked really, really well.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, well, we're going online, so we don't want to do that anymore.
Well, yeah, it was funny. Once we went online, our sales guys were like, oh, knocking doors doesn't work anymore. And we were like, what? Yes, it does. And they're like, no, it doesn't work anymore. And we're like, yes, it does. And it was just that they just wanted to get the leads from online, and they just wanted to,
Yeah, because it was easier.
Yeah.
It was easier for
that's
them.
Really a problem with the generations today. It's like telemarketing ruined everything.
Yes. So, that might be something that works in your business. Another one that is pretty popular and it's starting to come back, which you just did, was going to events.
Hallelujah. It was so fun to get out of town.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's a big way to get a lot of customers, depending on what business you're in.
Yep.
A lot of customers, quickly. And a lot of businesses will do it in the beginning, but then once they start, making more money and they start looking for other marketing strategies, they kind of just go like, I don't want to go out of town anymore.
Yeah. Well, it was at this event, we had a lot of success. We got a lot of new clients, and then we also got several new referral partners, and it's really exciting. And the funny thing is one of the ladies was like, oh my gosh, do you do anything with like BNIs? and local chambers and things like that. And we said, absolutely. She's like, I am huge in this BNI world where I'm at. And she goes, one of them has like 1,000 members at her businesses and another one has like 500. And she goes, so, would you come and speak and do all this stuff? And I said, absolutely. And so she's going to go out there and go after BNIs, after the BNI. Are you guys doing that? That is a local group of business owners who get together every so often, and they usually have a guest speaker or they have some sort of product or they have something that the business owner can utilize in their business to help them grow. And it's all different types of businesses, right? So it's like, could you be out there doing events where you could get in front of your potential customers, right?
Exactly.
So and think local. That's what I mean by the BNIs. Think local, even.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't want to travel or you can't travel, think local and do local events.
Right.
So that's another great way to do it. Networking, like you said, networking events, great way to do it. So these are just a couple of ideas that I want you to think about. Maybe your competitors are doing this and they're being successful at it, or maybe you could do these things and be successful, but you just don't want to put the energy and effort into it.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. If it works and it works, why are you not doing it? And I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to rattle off the biggest reasons we hear of why they're not doing it. First one, I don't have the money.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's funny, Troy, is very rarely do people just offer that up first.
No,
like
that's
very
the
rarely.
last one.
That's like the last one. And what they'll do is give every other excuse in the world when it really just comes down to, I don't have the money. And I learned that from one of our really good friends who ran big events, and he was in charge of getting these big vendors to come in. And I'm talking people who are spending dropping hundreds of thousands of dollars on one event to be at one event. And he's like, it always comes down to money, Trevor. It's always money. They'll give me every excuse in the world, but it is literally always money.
Yeah. Exactly. So you're right. That's usually the last thing when they finally are just like, yeah, I don't have the money.
I don't have the money.
Right? But guess what? You can go get a loan.
Totally.
If you know it's going to work, why wouldn't you get a loan?
Yep.
Because you're going to make more money on it. And right now, there's a lot of money out there.
I get emails every day from different softwares, like from the software that runs my payroll, and they send me a thing, get a secure, awesome, safe loan for your business. And I'm getting it from Chase Bank and from Wells Fargo and from PayPal and all these places. They're trying to give money away. The government, I guess, printed off more than they could give away.
So anyways, get a loan.
Yep.
Go out there and do it. Another one is, I don't have the time. I just don't have the time to do one more thing.
We had a client utilizing the Post Place, and they weren't really utilizing the Post Place. And the Post Place is a content marketing system that we created. It's awesome. Kicks butt, especially in local areas, really grows businesses. But we have a do-it-yourself plan and a we-do-it-for-you plan.
Yep.
Well, they were on the do-it-yourself. Well, we were showing them the do-it-yourself plan. And they were like, what they called us about is like, hey, I want more business. I need more business. And we're like, okay, cool. Check this out. And they were like, well, and we could tell they didn't have the money, right, to have us do it. And we said, well, great. How about we'll teach you and you do it? And he's like, oh, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, what? I thought you just told me that you need more business, as in you don't have enough business. So that means you're sitting around on your thumbs.
Yeah.
Right?
This person was a carpet cleaner, one-man show.
Yep.
So he's either cleaning a carpet, making money, or he's not doing anything.
He's sitting around doing nothing. And he's like, well, I don't have time for that. And I'm like, wait a minute. So what are you doing for the next 3 hours today? And he's like, well, I'm done for the day. I only had 2 houses clean. Okay, what do you mean you don't have time? Can't you go do this? Can't you go use it right now? And he's like, oh, well, I guess. But it came down to he didn't want to do the work.
Right. Exactly. So guess what? If you don't have the time, but you got the money, hire an employee to do it.
Yeah, and if you don't have the time and you don't have the money, go get a loan and then get the employee to do it.
Exactly. That's another solution, right? Now, the other big one, and I get this one. I can get this one a little bit more than the other ones. It's I don't have the knowledge.
Absolutely.
Or the expertise to do this, right? And I get that, let's say you're, we were talking about carpet cleaners, say you're a carpet cleaner. And it's like, oh, yeah, my competitors are, ranking on the first page of Google. They, and that's where they get a lot of their business. And I don't know how to do that.
I don't know how to do that.
And
I tried someone before.
Yeah, exactly. Nor should you probably learn how to do it, right? Because that's a very complicated thing, and you're going to invest a lot of time, energy, and effort to make that happen, right? So what can you do instead? The big thing is hire an expert.
Yep.
And when I say hire an expert, I mean hire an expert.
Yeah, exactly.
Not someone who does who says they can do it.
Yeah.
But actually hire an expert who has a proven track record.
Yes,
and can
that
show
you clients that they have helped, right?
Yep.
When we show off SoTellUs, I will show you where my reviews rank right next to Yelp in Google, in the organic.
Right.
When I say I do something, when I say my system does something, I will show it to you.
Yep.
You can see that result. If they can't show it to you, then they're not the right person.
Exactly.
Don't worry about. I just had someone the other day. A client said, "Hey, can you give me like 4 or 5 of your clients?" And I said, "Sure." I sent over a list of 5 clients, and the funny thing was, then I had my clients calling me and say, "Hey, this guy called me up the other day, and he was asking me all about you guys. I mean, we said amazing things because you guys are awesome, but and so they went. I have no problem with that."
Right.
I have no problem with that. In fact, when we first started selling the post place, we had clients that had such great success with it. They said to us, "Please, if you need to, refer people to us to let them know how well the system works. We're happy to answer the phones." They're cleaners. They're out cleaning carpets and cleaning houses and stuff. And they're answering the phone, selling for us.
Oh yeah. I remember I gave one guy's phone number away, a guy Pacific Carpet Cleaning over in California, and I said, "Look, if you want to find out how well this works, go talk to this guy."
Yeah.
And I gave him his phone number because the client gave me permission to do that.
Yep.
And the guy calls me back like an hour later, and he's like, "So I talked to the guy, over there at Pacific, and he told me that if I don't sign up for you, I am an idiot." He's literally said, "If you don't do this, you're an idiot."
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm like, "Well, I'm sorry he was so forward with you, but he's right. Like, you need to do this." So yeah, an expert's going to have wonderful case studies. They're going to have clients that are going to be willing to brag about them.
Yep.
So make sure you hire the right guy.
And don't be afraid. If you've been burned, don't be afraid. Just because this guy didn't work out or this gal didn't work out or this company didn't work out doesn't mean it doesn't work. If that was the case, your competitors wouldn't be doing it. Right? And then one thing that I want to throw in there too is sometimes you've got to do things that might cost you more. We talk about avenues of revenue, right? All the time. We talk about avenues of revenue, and different avenues of revenues might cost different things. But what you have to do is decide, okay, Google is expensive, but I'm still profitable on it. And we have this conversation in our own company all the time. In fact, we're evaluating things every week. We're saying, okay, this is how much it's costing us. Is it still worth doing? But when we were looking at it, like for you guys, door knockers, for these residential and commercial cleaners, they're like, I just don't want to do that. It's a headache and it costs a lot of money, and then I got to pay the people, so I'm going to make less on that house and everything. I'm like, yeah, but are you still profitable? And they're like, well, yeah, I would be. And I'm like, so why won't you grow? If you can grow your business to $1.3 million, you can always do something for a while, because there's also things you can do. You can have door knockers for a while and then decide that you want to scale that back once you've built the revenue up, if you want to. Or like me, I just want to keep pushing, right? Like I just want to keep pushing. And so don't be afraid that just because something costs you more, if it's profitable, you might still want to do it.
Exactly.
But you got to make sure you know your numbers when you do it. And trust me, I mean, Troy and I have this conversation literally weekly.
Exactly.
We're always analyzing it, right?
Yep.
Homework time, Troy.
All right. So what I want you to do is I want you to look at your competitors or look at your own business and find one marketing strategy that you're going to grow, or that you're going to use to successfully grow your business. So it might be something that the competitor's doing. It might be something that you should be doing, but you just don't want to do right now. And you're going to put it in place, implement it right away, and start growing the business.
Totally. Hey guys, that's exciting. I think one that we're gonna see a lot of and probably get a response on is just employees.
Yeah.
People don't want the headache of hiring. They're like, well, I could just do it myself. Yeah, you can, but then you're limited, right?
Exactly.
So if that's you guys, I think I'm going to see that in the comments and stuff. All right, guys. Thank you so much for spending another Tuesday morning with us. You guys are the best. We love you. Please keep commenting, share. Our YouTube channel is blowing up. We're getting more and more subscribers every single day, more comments. We're loving that. Watching us is kind of fun. I'm weird looking and always changing my look, so you never know what I'm going to look like next time. All right, guys, thanks so much, and we'll catch you on the next SoTellUs Time.